Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about American Express. You know, why I will forever have their credit cards in my wallet and be always using their cards. And for the most part, they got really good service. If you guys don't have an American Express card, I would highly recommend you get one. So for the most part, you know, it just had me thinking the other day. I was like, you know what, I really like this company. You know, they offer some good value in a way. They do have a lot of coupon books, you know, on their cards. But mainly it's just their service. So, you know, story time. We're going to talk about, you know, what happened in the past when, you know, I had their credit card for a while. So I ended up going on a trip, and so we ended up going to Cancun, Mexico. I think it was about a week long. So we went to Cancun, Mexico, and this was actually during COVID, I believe so. Back in 2020 or 2021, one of those. And so, you know, we are enjoying our trip, having a lot of fun. I remember when I had booked the trip, I had put it under the platinum card. And so with the platinum card, at the time I was reaching a minimum spend requirement. So it was a perfect opportunity. So I did it. I got my, you know, my membership reward points. And so, you know, we were enjoying our trip. And then as the, you know, our trip was concluding, we, you know, the same day that we were supposed to fly out, luckily I had booked it, you know, like after like the room checkout. So it's like we have our room checkout, and then it gives us some time to get to the airport, and then, you know, we can like fly, you know, like fly off back home. So in that morning of the day we were supposed to fly out, you know, I get a notification. At the time I had, you know, we were flying American Airlines. I still remember we were flying American Airlines, and so it was a canceled flight. And so at the same time, I'm like, okay, great. Now what's the next steps? Now what can I do? So then I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's a perfect, you know, like what's the next, you know, day that I can fly out from, you know, American Airlines, you know, back home. And it did give me a date, which was 3 days later. So, okay, then, so I booked 3 days, you know, like booked for the 3 days later at no cost. And then what ended up happening was I ended up telling the hotel, hey, like, you know, our flight got canceled. Can you move us around, or can we pay for, you know, an extra whatever nights? And, you know, so luckily they were able to work with me. Great. So 3 days go by. So we extended our trip basically. 3 days go by. And then the day that I am, you know, we are supposed to fly out, I get another notification saying that the flight was canceled. So I'm like, great, what does this mean? Because, I mean, obviously I know what it means, but like what I'm thinking is, okay, so, you know, like how am I gonna fly out now? Like, am I gonna have to book another 3 days at the, you know, at the resort, and, you know, like to fly back home? And so I'm kind of freaking out. My girl's kind of freaking out. And, you know, we just have a lot of things that are going through our minds. So what ended up happening was, you know, I go to the back of my platinum card and I call concierge. And so, you know, I'm asking them like, hey, when is the next flight? This is the situation. We're basically stranded in a way. You know, we're trying to get back home, but every time we book a date, it keeps getting pushed back. So luckily, I think one of the benefits on the platinum card at the time was emergency evacuation. I think that's what it was. So, or I think that was the benefit they used, for the reason that, you know, we're trying to get back home, but they keep canceling the flights. So there's basically nothing that, you know, we can do. But on American Express's end, they were able to book us a flight that same day back home through Delta. So we had tickets with American Airlines, but it was, you know, we were going to fly back home using Delta. And so, you know, I told the rep, I'm like, you know what, go ahead and just, you know, book those tickets. And so, you know, after that experience, I realized like how great of a company it is, you know, for the reason that, whenever you're in a dire situation, you know, that they are willing to come through. And they, you know, like just the concierge. I mean, of course, I had to pay for the airline tickets. It wasn't free for Delta. But at the same time, you know, the benefits that they offer and the customer service that they offer is like really, really good. So that ended up happening. We ended up flying back home. And then, you know, a couple of days later, I found out that, you know, I qualified for American Express. I think it was the trip interruption insurance. So I did file that, and I basically got my trip for free in a way. They did pay for, I think, the hotel. They paid for the flight, and they paid for like food and amenities. Of course, I had to, you know, file the insurance through American Express. So you just call American Express up, and you know, you just say, hey, I want to file for trip interruption. And so, yeah, you fill out like this paperwork, you submit your receipts, and then from there, it takes a couple of days. They look through it, and then for the most part, yeah, they just issue you a check. That's what they did for me. They just wrote me a check, sent it out, and so, you know, I was able to just kind of dump that onto the platinum card, you know, from the trip that I booked. So in a way, that's what really got me into the company, of like the experience and, you know, the safety, I guess you can say, of why, you know, I have American Express on, you know, in my wallet. Not only that, but they also have purchase protection and return protection. Now with return protection, I haven't used it, but I have used purchase protection. So what that covers, I think it's within 90 days, if your item gets lost, damaged, or stolen, they will, you know, refund you the money of the items that you purchased. And I think the limit is $300. So I bought a phone case, and you know, expensive phone case. Apple's cases are, their phone cases are expensive. So, you know, I bought one of their phone cases, and when I was getting out of my car, the phone case fell, and it was like one of those rubber iPhone cases. So it fell, and it just ripped a chunk of plastic off. So, you know, after that, I was like, great, now I have to go and spend another X amount of, I think it was like 50 or 60. I have to spend another like $50 or $60 to buy another phone case. And then I remember that I put it under the platinum card. So then I just wanted to try it, see what they say. I mean, it wasn't nothing expensive, so it's okay. So, you know, whatever, it is what it is. I go online, I file the information. I didn't send photos, but did I send photos? No, I didn't send photos, but I did send in the receipt, basically the statement of like the purchase. So I sent all the like the proof of purchase and all that stuff. So a couple of days went by, and then I get an email saying that they approved my request, and they just easily refunded my American Express platinum card account for the amount that I paid for. And then so then with that, I just ended up buying, you know, another phone case. But, you know, for the most part, I mean, these things do come in handy. You know, you don't really think about them. And I've heard people where, you know, their baggages get delayed, you know, it flies off somewhere else. And so, you know, with the platinum card, I mean, these are benefits. Even other travel issue cards, you do get these benefits with them. And so, you know, I mean, if you're able to use it, great. But if not, I mean, you know, it just kind of sucks. You know, like the trip, I think I went out of pocket an extra like $1,500 for that trip. And so, you know, everything, you got to use these benefits. I mean, you're paying these annual fees, and you know, you want to get the best and most value out of it. So that's what I ended up doing, and this is why one of the reasons, you know, I would always have American Express in my pocket, especially big purchases. I mean, nothing crazy like $1,000, $1,500, or $2,000, but for the most part, anything above, you know, or anything under $300, just for the purchase protection. And the return protection, and on top of it, they also have extended warranty, which is great, you know. And so I haven't used any of that stuff yet, but it's nice to have. and you just never know when you're going to use it. So for the most part, yeah. And then just in general, their customer service, when you call them up, really nice and friendly. For the most part, they all know what they're talking about. I know I've had experiences with like Chase and who was it, and Citibank. They didn't really know. You would ask them specific questions and they're like, I'm not too sure about that. Or, I mean, they're very educated at American Express, but then again, they're held to a higher standard. So for the most part, yeah, that's basically the story that, I have to tell you guys. And for the reason that, any American Express cards, would always have a place in my wallet. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.